Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Independent Podcast. My name is Fernando Garcia, and I'm here once again with Dan, the Million Mile Man for Mayor. Dan, thank you so much for joining us. I know you're running for mayor here in San Diego, and can you please tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and what your campaign's all about?
Well, I've been a local resident for 58 years. I've worked in real estate locally for 48 years, worked as a public and private school teacher for about a decade, worked as a lifeguard in Mission Beach at the Plunge, the old Plunge. And I'm running for mayor, and we have a legitimate chance at finishing number 2.
Yeah. And please tell me, I know the answer, but the primary that you're talking about, when is the date for the primary?
March 5th.
Okay, perfect.
Which is a little over 2 months from now.
Absolutely. And, there are a lot of issues that people from San Diego are worried about or concerned about. One of them is housing. And not just, we'll go into affordability of housing, but how the development of neighborhoods, a lot of talk about housing policy like SB 10. Talk to me about your viewpoint on things like SB 10 and bringing more density to what some people would call single family resident neighborhoods.
I strongly oppose the over densification of community neighborhoods from La Jolla, Rancho Bernardo to Normal Heights, Kensington, even San Ysidro. It's like I have mentioned, the mayor is like a bull in a china shop. He's wrecking the place, and they have no idea what they're doing. It's completely, it goes against everything that I've worked for. And that, look, Fernando, when people buy into a single family residence in a neighborhood, think about it. That is what they are buying. That is what they want. They don't want an apartment building next door. Period.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, what are some of the solutions that you feel, because a lot of the people talk about, hey, we need to build more in order to make housing more affordable. What are your thoughts on building more in San Diego? Can we achieve that? Should we go that route? What are your thoughts?
Well, a 15-minute city is known as a high-rise building where the residents can shop and go to the doctor and virtually go anywhere within 15 minutes. Horton Plaza is the ideal location for a 15-minute city where we could go high. Look at the tallest building in the world is in Dubai. And there's no reason why we can't build a tall structure where literally thousands of people, untold thousands of people would live in harmony,
right,
and be happy, and they wouldn't even need a car.
Right,
they would live downtown. So
your kind of solution is, hey, let's build up, but let's build it downtown or places in that area.
Well, of course, that's what downtown was meant for. Look at New York City, look at Boston, look at Chicago, look at Miami, look at Milwaukee, look at Houston. I mean,
that's a great point. Yeah,
you don't wreck the neighborhoods where the greatest generation, where their blood, sweat, and tears, where they labored to leave their inheritance to their children and so on. And it's a historical thing. But on the other hand, I'm very sympathetic to people who need housing and affordable housing.
Mhm.
My voting record shows it on the planning committee.
Yeah.
I voted for affordable housing in Claremont,
Yeah.
but we need leadership that is reasonable and judicious and not extreme. And that's where I come in.
Yeah. And one of the things, well, one of the things I love about you is that you're running as an independent. And what does that mean to you to run as an independent? Like, why? I know what it means to me to run as an independent, but what does it mean to you? Why is that important?
Well, I'm happy, number one. I mean, I've
Right.
never been happier. I've
Right.
never been happier in my whole life as an independent because, quite frankly, I got away from all the corruption
Mhm.
and I got away from all the shady deals. And no one owns me. I'm not owned by the Democratic Party. I'm not owned by the Republican Party. I'm owned by the voters and
Right.
only the voters.
Right. Absolutely. Do you feel that when you take off the jersey of a lot of people feel like their political party is their team, right? And they have a hard time giving up that team that they associated with. When you took off that jersey, like I did, when I used to be a registered Democrat for a long time. When I took that jersey off and said, "Hey, I'm going to just kind of follow my own path and kind of look at things from a team perspective." You're right. I felt freer, and I felt like I could really look at issues with clear eyes, with a real clear lens. Let me ask you, one of the things I really enjoy talking to you is that you are a free thinker. You're not somebody who's boxed into where I could just put you in a box as a Democrat, Republican, or some other platform. But I really enjoy the way you free think. What are some things, one of the things that you have brought up that I had never even thought about is bringing the Olympics to San Diego, but doing it as a joint effort with our neighbors to the south, with Tijuana. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because that to me is something that a lot of people don't talk about. It is like out of the box thinking. What was that all about when we were talking about that?
Well, my background is in athletics, where I spent my entire life as the Million Mile Man,
Mm-hmm.
which is riding a bike, running. And I have a home in France, and the Olympic Games in 2024, this year, are in France. They're in Paris. And I plan to attend, obviously. So being involved in organized sports and being a journalist in Europe and interviewing athletes and being a friend of Mexico, I consider myself a friend of the Mexican people.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just natural. It's completely natural to have the two borders collaborate on the great Olympic Games.
Yeah.
And we can do it. But we're going to need help because I'm an independent. You're an independent. We can't do it alone.
Right.
We're going to need the two teams, the Republicans and the Democrats, to look at us and say, those two fellows are pretty sharp.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Yeah. I think that I thought it was a great idea because, Mexico, not just being our neighbors, but they're an up and coming power as well that people sometimes don't even realize with their economy, what they're doing with manufacturing. I mean, I just thought that was a great idea when you had talked to me about that. What are, when it comes to also, when I talk to people about what's important to them, also, one of the major issues is public safety. What are your feelings on public safety right now? What are we doing right? What are we doing wrong? How would you approach it as mayor?
Well, we need to put public safety at the very pinnacle of our local city government. That's obvious. Public safety, there's nothing more important than public safety and the public welfare and public health. There's absolutely nothing. And we need better preparation, quite frankly, because 2024 could be and probably will be a very volatile year in terms of social upheaval. And I'm not sure the mayor is even prepared for what is coming down the pike. I doubt it.
Yeah.
Now, public safety, I would encourage the mayor's office to add more perks to the police department, the fire and rescue, perks such as even a small thing. Like I was talking to a policeman the other day and I said, officer, if I was mayor, I would do something that sounds very corny. Very corny. I would offer a Peloton bike to every police officer and have them work out because, if they cannot maintain their health and fitness, they're no good as a police officer. They have to be healthy and fit. And I would encourage better recruitment. If we can't recruit police officers locally or nationally, maybe go to a foreign country, get, for example, fast track people or expats or whoever they may be, maybe even in countries such as Nigeria. They speak English in Nigeria.
Right.
Or Ghana. They speak English in Ghana. And there are many able-bodied men in those countries that would give their eye teeth to come here and work as a police officer. There's got to be a way, together with the State Department, to get these people over here.
Yeah.
So, but again, you're right, Fernando. I think quite outside the box. So you are correct in that respect.
Yeah, and I know you spent a lot of time in France. Tell me about what took you to, I know you have a house out there, I believe, and what took you to France? What got you there? What are some of the influences in France that you would like to bring here? I know we've talked about transportation before, for example, but.
Well, they have a program in France. It's a social program. I'm not quite sure if it's actually codified in law, but whereas every restaurant, if they have extra food, surplus food at the end of the shift, they are required, actually, I believe that's the right word to use, required to give the food to a supermarket. We don't do that here.
Right.
Do you know how important food is and how much food we're throwing away in this country?
Yeah.
That is a tragic. And what about the environment in France? Okay, the environment. Every time I drive on A13, it's a l'autoroute, the highway, I'm driving on the Périphérique outside of Paris, and I look to my left, and there are tall skyscrapers, tall buildings, maybe 80 stories tall.
Mm-hmm.
They have trees growing out the windows. They have trees and lawns on the roof.
Mm-hmm.
It's incredible. They're so far ahead.
Yeah.
Now, the infrastructure is another issue. The bike lanes in France. You rarely hear of anybody being killed in a bike lane by a car.
Yeah.
Because from cradle to grave, the French are taught respect cyclists. Look at the Tour de France. It came from France. Just everything about what they're doing could be imported right here to San Diego.
Yeah. I was talking to one of my buddies. He just came over from Germany. And he was saying that cyclists, in essence, they have preferential treatment on the streets, and so it's kind of cyclists and walkers have preferential treatment. And then, and in the neighborhoods, you cannot go over 19 miles an hour in terms of driving. And pretty much people, abide by that. Once you get on the highway, you can go as fast as you want, but on the streets, you have to go super slow. And bicyclists have the primary, I guess, right away. I don't know if that's something we would implement here, but you're right. We're not really taught to cycle at a young age, to get on the bike and go somewhere. It's not really in our culture here, but maybe that could change one day.
Well, if I'm elected mayor, I would ride my bike from my house to 202 C Street. But
nice.
But again, it's up to the voters, Fernando.
Right.
They have to take the bull by the horns and make the right decision. If they feel we're going in the right direction in this city, then be my guest.
Yeah.
Vote for the mayor. But if you feel that we can do better, if you feel that we must do better, then at least look at my website, Danny Tri, Tri with an I, DannyTri.com, and make a donation to my website, because we need help. Thank you.
And what are your thoughts on self-driving cars here in San Diego, at least on the street? Is that an idea that you'd be open to? Have you ever thought about it? At least for an opportunity for somebody to take a self-driving car to a transit stop, whether it's a bus stop or a trolley, so that way they can truly live without a car.
Well, being a visionary, I can tell you that the train has left the station.
Mm-hmm.
And these self-driving cars are going to be the norm. Who knows, in 10, 20, 30, 40 years, I have no idea. But anyone that understands the timeline of history would really understand that we're headed in that direction. And I am open-minded. I'm open-minded to almost anything except jumping out of an airplane.
And what are there's a lot of talk about getting, with energy costs so high, we pay the highest kilowatt cost per kilowatt here in San Diego with SDG&E. Do you have any thoughts about the talk about getting rid of SDG&E in the city of San Diego and replacing it with our own public utility company?
I spoke against SDG&E 10 years ago, before anyone. So it's a no-brainer. The shareholders are getting rich at the expense of people that can't afford to pay their electric bill.
And they're killing the solar industry too. And that's one thing they're not really talking about.
They're trying to. Yeah, they're trying to. They're trying to. They haven't killed it yet, but they'll do whatever they can to. I agree.
Yeah. What's your thoughts on how we handled? So I know one of the questions they're probably going to ask you on the debate stage is how San Diego handled COVID, and how you would handle. How would you? Yes, we're playing Monday morning quarterback, but how do you think we should have handled it differently? And if we go through another kind of COVID scare or something similar, how do you think you'd handle that? What are some of what's your train of thought?
I would not. Well, number one, hindsight is 2020, but
right.
Looking back, I would not have mandated the police department get a COVID shot, because we lost so many police officers in that respect. And I'm not sure mandating was a good idea. Being a health, having devoted my entire life to holistic health, where natural health, putting all these untested chemicals in your body, and the FDA had very little time to approve of any of these vaccinations, and that was a red flag right there. And the jury's still out on how people are going to react to the vaccinations. I hear some are getting very sick and even dying. But again, hindsight is 2020. It's easy to look back,
Right.
but I think the measures were a bit over the top, a bit extreme. Again, moderation is the key here in government overall. Moderation and being judicious and not following fear or.
There's a lot of talk also of electoral reform. One of the things we kind of talked about a little bit was ranked choice voting, giving more choice to voters. What are your thoughts on ranked choice voting?
Well, I spoke in favor of ranked choice voting before council, and I've worked to that end, and I believe it. Several states have it already, and from what I hear, it levels the playing field,
right,
at least to some degree. Whereas right now, if I finish number 3 on March 5th, I'm finished. I can go home. But under ranked choice voting, I may not be finished if I finish number 3. I may have a chance at it.
Right.
Well, therefore, it would help independent candidates more probably. Well, again, I don't know the ins and outs completely, but I'm for it, period.
Yeah. And what are your feelings about the current mayor of San Diego? What are the what are the problems with it? Why are you running against him?
Well, if you had all day, I could explain it, but unfortunately, we're on a time schedule. But number one, the mayor has formed a private club. It's a private club. It's a private, corrupt club. And they believe their own propaganda. They will not listen to the neighborhoods, the communities. I talk to people in the community every day. They tell me, well, the mayor's office won't listen. They won't listen to what we have to say. Now, who's voting for the mayor? I have no idea. Right. Who would vote for a corrupt politician? Who would vote for someone that's incompetent, quite frankly? He's over his head. He hasn't solved the homeless issue. In fact, it's gotten worse. The homeless issue has gotten worse under his tenure. The housing situation has gotten worse under his tenure. Now, any reasonable voter would say, Dan, he can't do any worse. He can't possibly do any worse. Let's give the guy a chance.
Right.
Let's allow him to go to 202 C Street. And if we don't like him, after we can vote him out. But the mayor has failed. Yeah. And the shenanigans that they do with the political action money and the donations to the mayor.
Oh, yeah.
And the underhanded financing. Now, if the voters don't think that's wrong, then I'm afraid the voters might have a problem because it's wrong. It's completely wrong what they're doing.
Absolutely. Yeah. How is your campaign going so far? What are people saying when you are telling them you're running for mayor? What is their response like? um, are they grabbing on or gravitating towards your campaign? Are they really talking down about the mayor? Do a lot of people, when you talk about our current mayor, do you feel like people are satisfied or unsatisfied with the mayor in your experience?
I've met tens of thousands of people, tens of thousands on the street, everywhere, all
Yeah.
over, all 9 districts. I would estimate from all the people I've talked to, 30, 40, 50,000 people, I'm not exaggerating at all. I would guess maybe 8 to 10% of those people support the mayor, the
Yeah.
people I'm talking to. But whether they vote for somebody else, I have no idea. But as far as my campaign goes, I've never been received better in my entire life. Never, never, never. We have people on the steering committee. We meet in La Jolla, and anyone listening now, look me up, call the number, come to our meetings in La Jolla on Wall Street. I'll even buy you pizza and a bottle of wine. And we talk about the issues. We talk
Yeah.
about the campaign. I've been in San Diego 58 years. I can help. I want to help. And I want to bring Democrats. If you're a Democratic voter, look me up. If you're Republican, look me up. We can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I like that idea of giving a pizza and wine.
I do.
I might have to add that to my campaign.
Yeah.
That's amazing. But what are some other, I've covered a few things. A lot of the things that I asked you are, questions or issues I get asked and that, residents are concerned about. What are some things that maybe I haven't touched on that maybe you want to let people know that are in your mind that you want to do here in San Diego? Is there anything I missed?
I've covered hundreds of what I call peripheral issues. In the city, I've gone to every meeting for over a year, but if you want to get a better sense of who I am, I'm for planting more trees. I'm for traffic safety. I'm for more traffic enforcement.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we should give artisans like, what do they call them? They're creative. They do like a mime, like Marcel Marceau. People like mime should be allowed in Balboa Park without being harassed. They should. But the other people with their big with a tent and they're selling trinkets in Balboa Park, I don't believe I would allow that. But the people that are more artistic and have what do you call it? They're skilled, not skilled. I can't think of the word.
Like an art form, maybe.
Right, art. Yeah, right. Those kind of people should be allowed to participate in an open area. And here's another issue, Fernando.
Yeah.
Every planning group in this city is under attack, and they're unraveling them, and it's a huge issue now.
Yeah.
I don't want that to happen. I'm a former planning group member. I believe we need to maintain the planning groups. Sure, we need more diversity, but it's all or nothing with this mayor. It's all or nothing. Yeah. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. What's crazy to me is how underutilized the planning groups are. As a elected official, I don't see why elected officials aren't utilizing the planning groups more, listening to them. I mean, these are your eyes and ears on the street. But you're exactly right. These planning groups are not getting listened to for a bunch, different reasons. But I think you're right in saying that they're under attack, and our current administration they're believing their own propaganda. I mean, that's the perfect way to frame it.
Well, that's true. But I tell you, on July 14th, 1789, the citizens of France overthrew the monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
We have a monarchy now in San Diego at City Hall. That's a monarchy, a form of a monarchy. That's like a king. That's why they want to take away the rights of all the planning groups and the people, because it's a private club.
Yeah.
And the voters need to wake up.
Yeah. Yeah. You're absolutely right. We can say all we want, but if people don't show up to vote and vote the right way, nothing changes. But
well, they can call me. They can always telephone me at 858-308-7992 or go on my website, Danny Try with an I, all one word, DannyTry.com.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Dan, what else, before I let you go, what were there anything else that you wanted to tell to the voters or get off your chest and let people know about you?
I'm not doing this for fame. I'm not doing this for money. I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for the people of this city. That's why I'm doing it. I'm not doing this for the Democratic Party. I'm not doing it for the Republican Party. I'm not doing it to make people rich, to make developers rich. I'm doing this for you, for the people of San Diego. That's what they need to know. That my heart is with the people in this city. I've been here 58 years. I want to make this city great again.
Awesome. Dan, as always, it's a pleasure speaking with you. Thank you so much for coming on. I always wish you the best of luck on your campaign. And, I'm going to put your phone number, your email, your website. So for those people who are watching, please go to his website, check him out, give him a call. Feel free to donate. I know how hard it is when you're running a campaign. Every dollar counts. And, my experience in talking with Dan is he's an honest guy with some great ideas. And these are the type of people that we want as elected officials. So Dan, I can't thank you again for putting your name in the hat and having the courage to go about it. Once again, I just, I wish you the best of luck.
Thank you, Fernando, and Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you.